Hey everybody, it's Kaylin here with My Fair Daily. Excuse my voice, I have magically come down with the disease today, and I'm not gonna lie, I filmed this video yesterday. I was super pumped about it, ready to start editing the film tonight, and I am out of focus throughout the entire video. I was so pissed when I saw the film. I was so pissed, so incredibly pissed. But we are just gonna kick that crappy film to the curb and we are gonna start fresh and over again. It's the new year, let's start fresh. So, per my goal for January this year, I wanted to do a bunch of favorites videos for you guys. I really wanted to do a roundup of all my favorite products from 2015, and a lot of the products that I'm about to show you guys are just the top of the top, the creme de la creme favorite products of 2015. I don't know if you guys remember this, but from last year I did do a favorites kind of a roundup video at the end of the year. However, I even though I broke it into two parts, I felt like it was just way too long, way too much information. And what I really wanted to do is break it down into specific areas I really wanted to focus on, and I wanted to share my thoughts, my opinions, why I think you guys should own the products, everything like that into more individualized categories. So without further ado, the video that I'm going to be refilming for you today is my favorite palettes of 2015. That's not just one of them. I have 10 other ones I wanted to show you guys. So my top 10 eyeshadow makeup palettes, eyeshadow palettes, whatever, of 2015. Let's get started, guys. So because I showed it to you guys first, we are first going to talk about the Lorac Pro palette. Now, this palette is not new to 2015. It's probably not even new to the last several years. However, this is by far my favorite, most used makeup palette in my entire makeup artist kit. And this will be the evidence of why. Look at the number of shades I have hit pan on. It's insane. Honestly, it's like my fail-safe. I know if I have everything else in my kit and it's just not working out, not looking great on my clients, I know that I could go to this palette and it just will save my ass every single time. What I love so much about this palette is that it has a great array of finishes. This whole top row is all mattes, and it starts from the lightest highlight shade down here to the darkest dark black shade, one of the darkest black shades I've ever used in my life. They're all buttery, they're all creamy, they all go on and blend like a dream on the eyelid. And then the bottom row here is all shimmery finishes, more of like a metallic or a satiny kind of finish. These are all incredibly beautiful. And again, you have down here your lightest highlight shades, down here to your pops of color that just add a little oomph, a little extra to the eyelid, and it's just incredibly pretty. Like I said, I cannot live without this palette in my life, in my makeup artist kit. I just know that it, quite honestly, is my fail-safe and my go-to palette. Alright, so moving on to another oldie but goodie. This palette right here changed my makeup game forever. This is the palette that made me fall in love with warm colors. This is the palette that introduced me to warm colors and how amazing they could look on my eyes and make my blue eyes pop. And again, these three shades right here, right smack dab in the center. This one here, this one called Caramel, Caramel. This one here called Morocco, and then this one here called Deep Plum. These are my bitches. But let me swatch these shades out for you so you guys can see them and see how pigmented and pretty and wonderful they are. I just love the quality, the pigmentation, the richness of the warm shades in this palette. There's just nothing that beats them. I always go back to this palette. Again, it's another fail-safe for me. If I have no idea what to do makeup look-wise, I know that this palette can answer all of my prayers. It can definitely just give me any kind of look I'm trying to achieve, and it just looks incredible. I know that I can go out and I could be wearing these eyeshadows and I will just look hot shit in them. Anastasia palettes, they sell it like that. They go instantly off the shelves, and they are limited edition. Every single one is. There's none that are really in the permanent collection. All these shades individually, I believe you can purchase. I think that there's some that are just exclusive to palettes, so you can purchase a lot of them individually. But I like that they come in palette form, and this is a very affordable palette for high-end palettes that are at Sephora, Ulta, wherever. I feel like Anastasia does a really good job of making hers a lot more affordable for people to buy. So all in all, you can't go wrong with this palette. I'm sure that you can still find it on eBay, maybe even Amazon if you're really looking to grab it. And still on the oldie but goodie train, the Naked 3 palette has just been bomb rock star for me this year, especially with my clients. There has been so many clients lately I've used these shades on that, again, every time I use it, it just knocks it out of the park. My clients look amazing in these colors. Any girls with hazel green or blue green eyes or just straight up green eyes, if you don't have this palette in your life, pause this video now, go down to Ulta or Sephora or order it online. You need this palette in your life. Your eyes will never look better. And even for, you know, if I have blue eyes, people with brown eyes, this palette is just a universally flattering palette. I just absolutely love it. I use it all the time. The shades, especially Nooner, I use a lot as a transition shade. Limit I use as a transition shade. The shade Buzz is incredibly pretty, and the shade here called Dust. All these are super incredibly pretty, super pigmented. I'm going to swatch them next to the last swatches I put down, so don't mind the Anastasia swatches still on there, but those shades right there, God, they are so pretty. I absolutely love the rosy toned shades. I love that this palette has, you know, decent matte shades in it so that you can use them for transition colors, but then it also has great other finishes in here, from satin to, you know, straight up metallic glitter shades. You honestly cannot go wrong with this palette. I've used it so much this year, as I mentioned, on my clients as well as on myself. It's a Naked palette, totally worth the hype. So we are gonna hash out the details of this palette. Now, when I first purchased this palette, I did get it on a discount off of HSN, I believe, or one of those sites. I did get it on a very good deal. It was the only reason I purchased it. And honestly, I never really understood the hype of it until this year. Everybody always raves about this palette. Everybody's like, oh my god, it smells like chocolate, it's so pigmented, it's like the best palette ever. And I honestly was just like, but honestly, after using it and forcing myself to use it a lot, especially this fall, I understand the hype now, girls. I get you. I am on the Too Faced chocolate bar train, the bandwagon. I'm 100% on board with you guys now. It is a top-notch palette. So when you open it up, I do have the more slim packaged version that did come at, like, there was like the first version that was like super bulky. Everyone hated the packaging. I definitely have the slimmer version of it, which I do like. It does make it a lot more travel friendly. And then when you open it up, you do get plenty of shades to work with. You have plenty of matte shades in here, ranging from more cool tone to more warm tone. You have this beautiful deep cranberry shade right there. You have some fun shades to play with, like this purple glittery one right here. So there's a lot of stuff to play with, plus it has some great highlight shades in here as well, and some big pans for it too. So this one's more of a pink one, and then this one's more of a yellow toned one. So honestly, this palette kind of just has it all. And again, it is a wonderful, beautiful palette for the fall time. That's really this time of year is when I use it the most myself. I really got a lot of use out of it, and I really honestly, once I started playing with it, I couldn't put it down. If you guys haven't gotten this palette yet, if you've been on the fence about the chocolate bar palettes, if they're worth it, if they're worth the hype, honestly, I wasn't a believer until 2015, and now I am, and I highly recommend you checking out this one as well as the chocolate, or the semi-sweet, the semi-sweet chocolate bar palette is also a really nice one too. I will say though, I definitely used this one a lot more in 2015. Again, I don't believe this palette is any newer to 2015 than some of the other ones I've mentioned previously, but it has gotten much love from me in this year, especially again for my makeup artist kit, for my clients, for my bridal clients, for my clients that have more mature skin, that want a lot more matte shades, more neutral shades. This palette is just wonderful for that. You have a great range of cool tones. You have a great range of purples if you're interested in purples. You have a great range of warm shades up here. It's just kind of the end-all be-all palette of matte shades that you could own. Honestly, I've had Tarte palettes in the past. I've never been that incredibly impressed with them, but this palette, as well as the new one that came out, the In Bloom palette, has just blown my socks off with the quality, the pigmentation, the wear time, just everything. I mean, God, look at these swatches. They are just freaking incredible. I really do love this palette. I love the sleek packaging of it. I like that it's, you know, the purple, the ombre purple, the gold details on it are incredible. I do love this giant ass mirror that comes with it, so that if you were to take this while traveling, it does feel sturdy. It does have a beautiful mirror, so you don't need to carry a mirror with you. It just kind of has everything that you need. So this next palette here, I have so much love for, again, especially in my kit, but also I use this pretty much exclusively for like 2 or 3 months, especially during this fall time. I just was obsessed with this palette. This palette is called the Element Color Box, and this is by Motives. While I don't believe that this palette, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure it's not new to 2015 per se. Motives in general is new to me as a makeup brand to try, to own, to use in 2015, so I knew I had to mention this in this video. But when you open this palette up, you get these giant ass pans of shadow. Like, I don't know how you could ever conceivably go through all these shades in one lifetime. They are huge, and the pigmentation of these is solid, incredible. Just look at that. They're so pigmented, so pretty. They really create beautiful, beautiful, timeless looks on the eyelids. This palette has a beautiful array of finishes, from matte to some that have a little bit of glitter in it to a little bit more of a satin finish. This palette, again, just kind of has it all. This shade here is just a perfect transition shade. I really love it. This cranberry shade would definitely have to be the Rockstar best shade of the entire palette. Definitely gets me the most excited to use this palette. I love this shade. I really love this, again, this kind of like a dirty antique-y gold shade right here. Super pretty. This black shade is great, very pigmented, very incredible. This white shade here is a great highlight shade. I would say the only shade in this palette that I'm a little disappointed with is this gray, cool tone, bluish gray one. It looks incredible in pan. It is a little hard to work with. I definitely had to build up pigmentation with it. It didn't just go on right away super pigmented like the rest of the shades did. So that might be the only kind of dud of the palette, but in general, this palette is so incredible. The greatness of this palette definitely outweighs that little bit of a dud. This palette is a solid, awesome palette. If you guys are exploring the Motives brand yourself, if you come across an artist that's using Motives, please ask them about this palette. Please try this palette out for yourself. I don't think you guys would be disappointed. So I honestly must have been on the biggest matte kick this year, because the last couple palettes I've shown you guys have pretty much been exclusively matte palettes. And this one is definitely no different. I absolutely loved it. This is the Too Faced Naturally Pretty, or sorry, the Natural Matte Palette. And this one is the all matte shades in it. Super cute tin, love the packaging. Too Faced tins are always adorable. And really the pigmentation, the quality of this palette is so beautiful. Again, I've used this on a couple bridal clients and I really love the way they've turned out. I think it has a great array of some cool tones, some warm tones, some in-between kind of pinky purpley fun shades to play with. It's just, again, a great overall palette that kind of has everything for anyone that just loves an array of color, loves an array of cool tones, warm tones, fun colors, but wants to stay in the matte family. Just to name a couple of my favorites, I really love this chocolate cookie, chocolate cookie. I love honey butter. I love strapless. Those are kind of more of the warm tone shades right there that I'm obsessed with, and honestly are what sold me on this palette 100%. There's not a shade in this palette that I don't covet, that I don't love, that I wouldn't recommend to anybody. There's not really a dud in this palette. It's just a great, beautiful, cute overall palette that honestly, it was, I believe it did come out in 2015, and I was so glad that I picked it up when I did. So I guess I would have to say that Anastasia took the cake for the most number of palettes in my palette favorites for 1 year. Anastasia just really hit it out of the park. Really this year especially, I mean, I know the Amrezi palette isn't new this year, but this one definitely is. This is the World Traveler palette. They recently came out with the Self-Made palette that is incredible. I haven't used it enough to feel like I can call it a 2015 favorite, but it is an awesome palette. And honestly, these 4 shades right here are what sold me on this palette. And these 4 shades, I was like, I'm done, I'm sold, give me the palette, I don't care how much it is. I fell in love with these 4 shades first. So these shades are Morocco, which did exist in my previous Amrezy palette. So that's probably why I fell in love with it. Soft Peach, Fudge, and the shade here down here called Spoiled. So these are what all these look like. Super duper pretty, super pigmented, all except for Spoiled down here takes a little bit to work with. I do find I need to build it up with something like MAC Fix Plus or something like that just to kind of get the pigmentation going. But these other shades, like I said, are incredible. I love the pigmentation. Anastasia does palettes well. She does them well, and she does them at an affordable cost, and you really cannot beat the quality of these palettes for the price tag. Okay guys, bear with me. We're down to the last 2 palettes. The first one I want to talk about, again, is an all matte palette that I just cannot live without now in my makeup artist kit. This is the Becca Ombre Rouge palette. This one is more the warm toned one, and it definitely is pretty much an all matte palette. This shade right here, this like white shade, and actually this pink shade too right here, they have a little bit more of a satiny effect to them, but for the most part, they come off pretty matte. They're not like anything ridiculously glittery or shimmery or anything. So I really consider this, in all intents and purposes, pretty much an all matte palette. These shades right here are super duper pretty as well. I love using this on any of my clients that have blue eyes. These are how they swatch out, but they kind of swatch out. They don't swatch out nearly as good as they apply on the eyes. This is just, again, a standout palette that I know if you have blue eyes, if you have any eyes that accentuate with warm tone colors, I know that this palette is gonna look so awesome on you. And then last but certainly not least, I would have to say my MAC palette that I made myself is definitely one of my most used, most coveted, most loved palettes of 2015. Now I hesitated including this palette because obviously it's a MAC palette, you build it yourself, there's no real, I could tell you the shade names kind of a thing, but you know, you build it yourself. You don't really ever buy these pre-made like this, but I really do love pretty much every single shade in this palette. Again, it fares more on the warm side per usual. I just can't not have warm colors in my life, but I love the quality of these shadows. I love especially these ones down here, Saddle and Texture. These ones are super amazing transition colors. I love this shade up here, which is Nylon. This white shade is like the perfect matte highlight shade. I cannot stop using Nylon lately. I use it literally almost every single look that I have. I really love this shade here called Coppering. It's just a fun, really pretty coppery red shade that's just a great pop of color for the lids. I really have been using this shade here called Amber Lights a lot, which is this pretty like goldeny warm shade. So again, there's all the swatches again so you guys can see. This palette is incredible. MAC shadows are a little bit of an investment. The palette in and of itself and then the individual shades, they are pricey. Don't get me wrong, once I'm done filling up this palette, it'll definitely be probably well overpriced over any of these palettes that I showed you today, but it is worth it to me. I do love these shades. I do like collecting and like kind of working at my own pace to kind of grow my MAC collection, and that's definitely the case with my eyeshadow palette. So if you guys have any eyeshadow recommendations for me from MAC, I would love to continue growing this collection. This is kind of my stopping point at the moment, but that's not to say that I won't add more and talk about this palette again sometime in the future. And I do have one honorable mention to bring to your guys' attention. This is the Smashbox Masterclass 3 palette. This is the Masterclass Color and Contour. This thing is a beast. This thing is meant for makeup artists. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not the most travel friendly. Again, that's probably why it didn't make it on my favorites list necessarily, but it did make it as an honorable mention because I did use the hell out of this palette towards the beginning of 2015, and it just opens up beautiful storybook style palette. And as you can see, especially on this side, you could tell I've been through hell and back with this palette. I love that these palettes are individualized. This is more the neutral side over here. It's like really hard to show you in camera. Again, this is so bulky, it's just kind of unrealistic, but This side over here is awesome. This is like the neutral side that has all of your contour shades down here, which their contour shades, the Smashbox ones, are incredible. And then this side over here has all of your colorful shades. God, has all of your colorful shades over here, and then the blushes down here are so pretty. Again, such incredible quality. And I guess what I like about this palette is that because this is so bulky, you can take these out individually and use them individually like so. So it doesn't make it so bulky in the packaging. Not that I think it makes it any more travel friendly, but you can kind of stand it up like so. So if you're using it as a makeup artist, I guess you could stand it up like this. I don't know. I don't think I would ever do that just because I think it would fall over all the time. But I do keep this in my kit. I have not really broken it out for too many clients yet. I have my go-to palettes, and I really need to branch out. I really need to use this palette more because it just has anything you could possibly want, any kind of colors you could possibly pretty much want in it. I would think the only thing that this palette lacks a little bit for me is transition colors, matte transition colors. I mean, I know you could use the bronzers down here for it. I guess I'm a creature of habit. I like palettes that have everything in it without having to substitute other things like bronzers and blushes and highlighters and that kind of stuff for eyeshadows. But overall, this is a great palette. As far as I know, I will check before I, quote this, but as far as I know, I think you could still get the Masterclass 3 at least at Sephora.com. I did get mine in stores, but I'm pretty sure this is still offered online. Again, don't quote me. If it does, or if it is still offered online, I will link it down below for you guys so that you can check it out. But you know what? This is a great palette. It is a great honorable mention kind of a palette. The impracticality of it, the bulkiness of it is again what makes it not a top 2015 favorite for me, but it does make, I do think it needs to be mentioned in this video, and I do think that it deserves a little bit more love from me, especially for how much I used it at the beginning of this year. So that is it, guys. That is all of my palette favorites for 2015. I apologize. I know that this video is super long. I couldn't curb myself once I started. I will be doing more favorites videos for 2015. I'm planning on doing a lip products or favorite lips of 2015. I could do more eye products like mascara, single eyeshadows, eyeliners, etc. I'm planning on doing a skincare one. I'll probably incorporate some hair stuff into there too. So you guys let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to see favorites wise of 2015. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling now. I am just word vomit of the mouth. I am actually happy that this video turned out so much better than my last one. The last one yesterday, I liked it, but it was kind of shaky. Oh my god, stop rambling. Alright guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye everybody.